The day I walked into that office and saw her standing there, I thought my world had ended. Not because I was happy, not because fate had brought us together in some romantic twist. No, I wanted to turn around and run because the woman smiling at me from across the room was the same person who had made my high school years absolutely unbearable. And now she was going to be my colleague, my desk partner, the person I'd see every single day. If someone had told me then that in just a few years I'd be standing at an altar pledging my life to her, I would have laughed until I cried. But life has a twisted sense of humor, doesn't it? Let me take you back to where it all started. Chicago 2014, Lincoln Park High School. I was 17, a junior, and completely unremarkable. My name is Maya Santos, and back then I was the girl nobody noticed. I kept my head down, wore oversized hoodies, and spent lunch periods in the library because the cafeteria felt like a war zone. I was the daughter of Filipino immigrants who worked 2 jobs each to keep our small apartment in Pilsen. I didn't have money for trendy clothes or the latest phone. I had notebooks, secondhand books, and a determination to get a scholarship to Northwestern so I could give my parents the life they deserved. And then there was Scarlett Monroe. God, even her name sounded like it belonged to someone destined for greatness or infamy. Scarlett was the girl everyone orbited around, like she was the sun itself. She had this cascading red hair that looked like flames, green eyes that could cut through you with a single glance, and a confidence that made everyone else feel small. She was captain of the debate team, lead in every school play, and somehow managed to maintain perfect grades while ruling the social hierarchy with an iron fist. Every girl wanted to be her. Every guy wanted to date her. And she knew it. She wielded her power like a weapon. I hated her. Not in a casual way. I hated her with the burning intensity of someone who had been collateral damage in her games too many times. See, Scarlett wasn't cruel in obvious ways. She didn't push people into lockers or steal lunch money. Her cruelty was surgical, calculated. She'd compliment your outfit in that tone that made it sound like an insult. She'd laugh at your answer in class just loud enough for everyone to hear. She'd exclude you from group projects and then act shocked when you ended up working alone. I watched her destroy people's confidence with a smile on her face, and I despised everything she represented. We had AP Literature together junior year, and that class became my personal nightmare. Mr. Harrison loved Scarlett. She'd dominate every discussion, tossing around literary terms like she'd invented them, and he'd nod along like she was revealing the secrets of the universe. Meanwhile, I'd sit in the back, actually understanding the texts, actually doing the reading, but too terrified to raise my hand because I knew she'd find a way to make me look foolish. Until one day in March when I couldn't take it anymore. We were discussing The Great Gatsby, and Scarlett was going on about how Daisy represented the corruption of the American dream. She was wrong. Completely. Fundamentally wrong. She was confusing the symbolism, oversimplifying the themes, and Mr. Harrison was eating it up. My hand shot up before I could stop myself. Actually, I said, and my voice came out stronger than I felt. Daisy isn't the symbol of corruption. She's a victim of it. The green light, Gatsby's obsession, the entire structure of wealth, that's what corrupts. Daisy is trapped by it, not the embodiment of it. The room went silent. Scarlett turned around slowly, and I could see the shock on her face that I, Maya Santos, the invisible girl, had dared to contradict her. Interesting theory, she said, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I'm not missing anything, I said, and I could feel my hands shaking. You're just wrong. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. Maya actually makes an excellent point. The text supports her interpretation more directly. I'd like to hear more of her thoughts. Scarlett's face went crimson. For the rest of that class, I spoke more than I had all semester, and for the first time, people were listening to me instead of her. When the bell rang, she grabbed her designer bag and stormed out without looking at anyone. Her friends shot me dirty looks as they followed. I knew I'd just painted a target on my back, but I didn't care. It felt too good to finally stand up to her. After that, things got worse. Scarlett started a rumor that I'd cheated on the midterm. It wasn't true, obviously, but people believed her because why wouldn't they? She was Scarlett. I was nobody. Teachers started watching me more closely during tests. Students whispered when I walked by. My few friends started distancing themselves because being associated with me meant being on Scarlett's bad side. I spent the rest of junior year and all of senior year as a ghost, more invisible than ever, and I blamed her for every lonely lunch, every silent weekend, every moment I felt like I didn't belong. We graduated in 2015. I got my scholarship to Northwestern. She went to Yale, because of course she did. I thought that was the end of it. I'd never have to see Scarlett Monroe again, and I could finally build a life where she didn't cast a shadow over everything I did. College was my fresh start. I studied communications and marketing, made real friends, discovered who I was without the weight of high school crushing me. I dated a little, came out as bisexual to my supportive roommate, and started to actually like myself. Chicago felt different when I wasn't constantly looking over my shoulder. 10 years later, I'm 27 and back in Chicago after spending 3 years in Seattle working for a marketing firm. I'd taken a job at a boutique creative agency called Watershed Collective in River North. The office was everything I dreamed of: exposed brick, huge windows overlooking the city, a team of talented people doing meaningful work for progressive brands. My first day was a Tuesday in January 2025. I was nervous but excited, wearing my best blazer, ready to prove myself all over again. The HR director, Marcus, walked me through the open office space, introducing me to people whose names I immediately forgot because I was too overwhelmed. Then he stopped at a desk in the back corner near the windows. "This is your station. You'll be partnering with our senior creative strategist. She's running late today, had a meeting run over, but she should be here any minute. Her name's Scarlett." I felt my stomach drop, but I told myself it was a common name. It couldn't be her. Chicago was a big city. Lots of people named Scarlett. Then I heard her voice. Sorry. Traffic on the Kennedy was absolutely brutal." I looked up and there she was, Scarlett Monroe. Her red hair was shorter now, cut into a sleek bob. She wore tailored pants and a black silk blouse, looking every bit the successful professional. But it was definitely her. Those green eyes locked on mine and went wide. "Maya?" she said, and she sounded genuinely shocked. "Scarlett," I said. "Oh my God," Marcus said, beaming. "You two know each other? This is perfect." "High school," Scarlett said, still staring at me. "We went to Lincoln Park." "What are the odds?" Marcus said. "Well, I'll let you two catch up. Maya, if you need anything, I'm just down the hall." He left, and suddenly it was just us. The silence stretched out, heavy and uncomfortable. Scarlett set her bag down at the desk directly facing mine. "So," she said, "this is unexpected." "Yeah," I said. "Very." She sat down and I could see her trying to figure out what to say. "Look, Maya, I know we weren't exactly friends back then. That's putting it mildly," I said. She flinched. "Right, but that was a long time ago. We're adults now. We can be professional, can't we?" "Of course," I said. "I'm always professional." "Good," she said, but she looked uncertain. "I'm looking forward to working with you." I didn't respond. I just turned to my computer and tried to ignore the panic rising in my chest. Of all the agencies in Chicago, of all the people I could have been partnered with, it had to be her. The universe was playing a cruel joke. The first few weeks were tense. We barely spoke unless it was about work. We'd sit at our desks facing each other, the air between us thick with unspoken history. I'd catch her looking at me sometimes, like she wanted to say something, but then she'd look away. I kept my interactions minimal, polite but cold. I wasn't going to make this easy for her. But something strange started happening. I began noticing things about her that didn't match the Scarlett I remembered. She was quieter now, less performative. She didn't dominate meetings or talk over people. In fact, she often held back, letting others speak first, only offering her ideas when asked. And when she did speak, her ideas were brilliant. She had this way of seeing angles I'd never considered, of connecting themes and messages in ways that elevated every project we touched. She was genuinely talented, and it frustrated me because it would have been easier if she was still the shallow, arrogant person I remembered. One evening in late February, we were both working late on a pitch for a major client. The office was empty, just us and the hum of the heating system. I was exhausted, staring at my screen, trying to figure out how to make our concept stronger. "Want some coffee?" Scarlett asked suddenly. "I'm going to make a pot." "Sure," I said. "Thanks." She came back with 2 mugs and set one on my desk. Then she did something unexpected. She sat down in the chair next to me instead of going back to her desk. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "What? Do you hate me?" I looked at her, surprised. "Because I'd understand if you did. I wasn't a good person in high school, I know that." "I don't hate you," I said carefully, "but I don't like you either." She nodded slowly. "What did I do to you specifically? I mean, I know I was terrible to a lot of people, but I need to know what I did to you." "You really don't remember?" I said, and I could feel anger rising in my throat. "The rumor about me cheating? That was you. The way you made me feel invisible for 4 years? The way you turned people against me for daring to contradict you once? That was all you." Her face went pale. "Oh, God. Maya, I don't even know what to say. That's horrible. I'm so sorry." "Why?" I asked. "Why were you like that?" She was quiet for a long time. "Insecurity," she finally said. "I was deeply, profoundly insecure. I know that probably sounds ridiculous. I was popular and pretty, and everyone thought I had it all together. But inside, I was terrified. Terrified that if I wasn't perfect, if I wasn't the smartest and the prettiest and the most impressive, then I was worthless. So I tore other people down to make myself feel bigger. It was awful, and I'm ashamed of who I was." "What changed?" I asked. "College," she said. "Therapy. A lot of therapy. When I got to Yale, nobody cared about who I'd been in high school. I was just another overachiever in a sea of overachievers. And I realized that all the things I'd built my identity on, looks, popularity, performance, none of it mattered. I had to figure out who I actually was beneath all of that. It's taken me years. I'm still figuring it out. But I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be someone I can actually stand to be." I didn't know what to say. This vulnerability was so different from the Scarlett I'd known that I almost didn't believe it. Almost. "I'm sorry," she said again, "for what I did to you, for what I did to everyone. I can't take it back, but I want you to know that I'm not that person anymore, or at least I'm trying really hard not to be." "Thank you," I said quietly, "for saying that." "Can we start over?" she asked. "Not forget what happened, because I know that's not possible, but maybe try to build something new?" I thought about it. Part of me wanted to hold on to my anger, to punish her for the pain she'd caused. But the bigger part of me was tired of carrying that weight. "Yeah," I said, "we can try." She smiled, and it was genuine, reaching her eyes in a way I'd never seen before. "Thank you, Maya." We talked for another hour that night, long after we'd finished the pitch. She told me about Yale, about her anxiety, about how she'd had to rebuild herself from scratch. I told her about Northwestern, about coming out, about learning to find my voice. And slowly, carefully, we started to build something that looked like friendship. Over the next few months, things changed between us. We started having real conversations. We'd get coffee together before work, walking to the office from the train station. We'd grab lunch at the Thai place around the corner. We became a team, finishing each other's sentences in meetings, knowing instinctively what the other was thinking. And I started seeing more layers to her. She was funny in this self-deprecating way that made me laugh until my sides hurt. She was thoughtful, remembering that I took my coffee with oat milk and extra sugar, showing up with it on mornings when I looked particularly exhausted. She was kind, always the first to compliment someone's work, to offer help when someone was struggling.
She volunteered at a youth center on weekends, mentoring teenage girls. She was working on herself constantly, reading books about emotional intelligence and communication, going to therapy every week. She wasn't perfect, but she was trying, and that meant everything. We started hanging out outside of work. She invited me to an art exhibition one Saturday, and I was surprised by how much fun I had. Walking through the gallery with her, listening to her analysis of each piece. We went to concerts, tried new restaurants, spent lazy Sunday afternoons at the lake just talking about everything and nothing. I found myself looking forward to seeing her every day. I found myself thinking about her when we weren't together. And then, one afternoon in May, I looked up from my computer and saw her concentrating on something. Her bottom lip caught between her teeth, a strand of red hair falling into her face, and my heart did this weird flip in my chest. Oh no, I thought. Oh no, no, no. I had feelings for Scarlett Monroe. Real, undeniable, terrifying feelings. I tried to push them down, but they only grew stronger. Every smile she gave me made my pulse race. Every accidental touch of our hands made my skin electric. Every time she laughed at my jokes, I felt like I'd won the lottery. This was a disaster. This was Scarlett Monroe, the person I'd hated for years. This was my coworker. This was my friend. This was the worst possible person to fall for, and yet I was falling anyway, helplessly and completely. We were working on our biggest project yet. A rebranding campaign for a major nonprofit. The stakes were high, the hours were long, and we were practically living in the office. One night in early June, we finally finished the presentation. It was almost midnight. We were punchy from exhaustion and too much caffeine. "We did it," Scarlett said, leaning back in her chair. "I can't believe we actually pulled that off." "My brain is liquid," I said, making her laugh. "Come on," she said. "I'm buying you a drink. We need to celebrate. There's a bar that's open late just down the street." We walked through the warm summer night, the city still alive with people and lights. The bar was dimly lit and nearly empty. We found a booth in the back and ordered whiskey. "To surviving," Scarlett said, raising her glass. "To surviving," I echoed. We drank, and the warmth spread through me, loosening something that had been wound tight for weeks. "Can I tell you something?" Scarlett said after a moment. "Always. I'm really glad you came to Watershed. You've made this job better. You've made my life better." My heart was pounding. "You've made my life better too," I said softly. She smiled, but there was something in her eyes I couldn't read. "Really? Really? I didn't think I could ever like you, Scarlett, but you've become one of the most important people in my life." Something flickered across her face. "Important," she said. "Yeah." There was a pause. "I should tell you something," she said. She was looking down at her drink, not at me. "I'm gay. I came out sophomore year of college. I just thought you should know." My heart nearly stopped. "Oh, okay. Thanks for telling me. Does that bother you?" she asked, finally looking up. "No," I said, "not at all. I'm bi, actually. I came out in college too." Her eyes widened. "Really? Really?" We stared at each other across the table. The air felt charged, like before a lightning strike. "Maya," she said softly. "Yeah? Do you ever think about us as more than friends?" I couldn't breathe. "Do you?" "Every day," she said. "I've been trying not to because I didn't want to ruin what we have, but I can't stop. I can't stop thinking about you, wanting to be near you, wondering what it would be like to kiss you. Tell me I'm not imagining this. Tell me you feel it too." "I feel it too," I whispered, "all the time." "Can I kiss you?" "Yes." She leaned across the table and kissed me, tentative at first, like she was afraid I'd pull away. But I didn't. I kissed her back, my hand coming up to cup her cheek, pulling her closer. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. "Wow," she said. "Yeah," I said. "Wow." We started laughing. That breathless kind of laughter that comes from joy and relief and the overwhelming feeling of finally getting what you want.
Do you want to get out of here? She asked, Absolutely. We went back to her apartment in Lincoln Park, a beautiful space with hardwood floors and big windows overlooking the park. We stood in her living room, suddenly nervous. This is different, she said. You're different. I don't want to mess this up. You won't, I said, stepping closer. I promise. She looked at me with those green eyes, and I could see everything there. The fear, the hope, the want. I really like you, Maya. This is real for me. It's real for me too, I said, and I kissed her again. We made our way to her bedroom, learning each other slowly, carefully. She was gentle and attentive, always checking in, always making sure I was okay. Afterward, we lay tangled together and she traced patterns on my shoulder. What does this mean? She asked. What are we? What do you want us to be? I want you to be my girlfriend, she said, if that's what you want too. I want that, I said, more than anything. The next few months were incredible. We kept our relationship quiet at work at first, not wanting the attention, but it was hard. I'd catch her looking at me with that soft smile, and I'd have to resist the urge to kiss her right there. We'd leave separately and meet at one of our apartments. Most nights we stayed at her place because mine was tiny. We'd cook together, watch movies, talk until dawn. She told me about her family, about her parents' bitter divorce when she was 10, about how she'd acted out for attention. I told her about my parents' sacrifices, about the pressure I felt to make them proud, about how scared I'd been to come out to them. In August, I finally introduced her to my family. I was terrified, but my parents loved her. My mom kept refilling her plate at dinner, and my dad asked her about her work with genuine interest. After they left, Scarlett held me while I cried happy tears. They're wonderful, she said. You're so lucky. I know, I said. We spent weekends exploring Chicago, going to museums and concerts, walking along the lake. One Sunday, we went to the Garfield Park Conservatory. It was hot outside, but cool and green inside, surrounded by plants and flowers. I love you, she said suddenly, her hand in mine. What? I love you, Maya. I know it's only been a few months, but I do. I love you too, I said, and I started crying. She kissed me there in the conservatory, and I'd never felt more certain of anything in my life. In August, we told our coworkers. Everyone was supportive, and honestly, most people said they'd already figured it out, which made us laugh. We could finally be open at work, holding hands in meetings, going to lunch together without pretending it was just friendly. My parents embraced her fully. Her dad, who'd remarried and moved to Denver, flew in to meet me and told Scarlett he'd never seen her so happy. We started talking about moving in together. In December, we found a perfect 2-bedroom in Bucktown with exposed brick and a small yard. Moving in together was chaotic and wonderful. We had our first fight about how to organize the kitchen and made up within an hour. We learned each other's rhythms, her need for morning silence and coffee, my need for a clean space. We built a life together, complete with routines and inside jokes and a rescue dog we named Pepper. 1 year after we started dating, Scarlett planned a surprise for our anniversary. She took me to Starved Rock State Park, and we hiked to a waterfall. She'd packed a picnic, and we sat on a blanket eating strawberries and cheese. Maya, she said, this year has been the best of my life. Being with you has made me happier than I ever thought possible. I love you more than I can say. She pulled out a small box. Marry me. Will you marry me? I was crying before she even opened the box. Inside was a simple rose gold band with a small sapphire. Yes, I said. Yes, yes, yes. She slid the ring onto my finger, and we kissed as the waterfall roared behind us. We got married the following spring in a garden ceremony at the Chicago Botanic Garden.
My mom cried through the entire thing. Scarlett's dad beamed from the front row. When it was time for vows, Scarlett went first. "Maya," she said, 10 years ago, we sat in the same classroom, and I didn't see you. I was so lost in my own insecurity that I couldn't see how brilliant you were, how strong, how real. I hurt you, and I'll spend the rest of my life making up for that. You gave me a second chance when I didn't deserve it. You saw past my mistakes and loved me anyway. You've made me a better person. You've shown me what real love looks like. And I promise to spend every day being worthy of you. I promise to support your dreams, to hold you through hard times, to laugh with you through good times. I promise to be your partner in everything. I love you with everything I am." Then it was my turn. "Scarlett," I said, "when I was 17, I thought I knew exactly who you were. I thought you were my enemy. I was wrong. You weren't my enemy. You were my future, my home, my forever. You've shown me that people can change, that growth is possible, that love can bloom even from the hardest soil. You make me laugh every day. You challenge me to be better. You love me so completely that I still can't believe how lucky I am. I promise to always see you for who you are now, not who you were. I promise to build a life with you full of adventure and joy. I promise to love you not just today, but for every tomorrow we have. You are my home, Scarlett, now and always." We kissed as our guests cheered, and I knew with absolute certainty that this was exactly where I was meant to be. Not despite our history, but because of it. Because the journey from enemies to lovers had taught both of us who we really were and what we were capable of becoming. The reception was magical. We danced under string lights as the sun set over the gardens. Our first dance was to a song we'd discovered together one late night at her apartment. And as we swayed together, Scarlett whispered in my ear, "I still can't believe you said yes." "I still can't believe you asked," I whispered back. Later, we cut the cake, and Scarlett deliberately got frosting on my nose, making everyone laugh. My dad pulled me aside during dinner, tears in his eyes. "Mija, I have never seen you this happy. She's good for you." "She's everything, Papa," I said. He hugged me tight. "Then your mama and I are happy too." As the evening wound down, Scarlett and I snuck away to a quiet corner of the garden. We sat on a bench surrounded by blooming roses, holding hands, watching our loved ones celebrate. "Do you remember that day in English class when you corrected me about Gatsby?" "How could I forget?" I said. "That was the day I first really saw you, not as background noise, but as someone brilliant and brave. I hated that you were right, but I also couldn't stop thinking about you after that. I was so angry and so impressed at the same time." "I thought you hated me after that." "I did," she admitted with a laugh, "but I also respected you. You were the first person who didn't just let me be wrong because I was pretty. You demanded better from me. I just didn't know how to handle it back then." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the sounds of music and laughter drifting over from the reception. "You know what's wild?" I said. "If someone had told 17-year-old me that I'd marry Scarlett Monroe, I would have thought they were absolutely delusional. 17-year-old me would have agreed. She had no idea that the quiet girl in the back row would end up being her whole world. But here we are," I said, looking at the rings on our fingers. "Here we are," she repeated. "Mrs. and Mrs. Monroe Santos. We decided to combine our names, creating something entirely new, just like we'd created this relationship from the ashes of our painful past. Sometimes the person you can't stand becomes the person you can't